Hey everybody, Nick here with the Killing for Sport podcast with a holiday edition. And we're watching Christmas Evil, aka You Better Watch Out. How's it going, guys?
Good. I'm festive feeling.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. This is the See No Evil prequel.
I don't believe that can be fact checked. Actually, no. I'm sure that can successfully be fact checked.
This is a magical movie.
It is absolutely a film.
Originally, we were going to watch Ginger Dead Man, and when I started watching it to prep as a, I guess, taste test, because if I can't get through the whole movie, there's no way I'm going to review it, and I turned it off.
How would the review have went? And I turned it off.
Yeah, it probably only would have gone like 20 minutes, and I said, all right.
Isn't it like less than 70 minutes?
Yeah, something crazy like that.
I do want, for the record, to show that I still intend on watching Ginger Dead Man before our next podcast.
Okay.
I feel we should do a Ginger Dead 15-minute bonus episode because it's so bad. There's not much.
I mean, it could be a very quick episode, but the question is, do we all want to sit through it?
No.
I mean, I'm willing to jump on the grenade if nobody else wants to watch it. That's fine, but
I'd
I
rather
don't
watch
think
The
it's
Langoliers.
as good as it could have been. They didn't.
Yeah, it felt like a
They actually tried too hard instead of being like a unserious movie.
well, it felt like it's something you'd watch on the Sci-Fi Network at 12 o'clock at night.
Like right before the Girls Gone Wild commercials.
Yes.
see, you guys are still selling me on this.
So and I feel like it wasn't as good as Sharknado. Like, and Sharknado is another thing that would be shown at 12 a.m. on
So
Sci-Fi.
should we watch Sharknado next week?
Is there a Christmas version of
There's a
Sharknado?
lot of stuff happening on Sharknado. It keeps you engaged.
Hold up,
Yeah.
time out. No, next week is the Langoliers. We've already discussed this.
Yes, of course. Next week is the Langoliers, and every week after that will be the Langoliers. So, anyways, Christmas Evil, aka You Better Watch Out, was released on November 7th, 1980. And it starts out like every baby boomer movie does.
Fuck you! I was born in 1980.
Okay, boomer.
Well, hang on. It was what my point was is it starts out in 1947. I'm taking some, creative license here.
Ah, okay. Starts out in 1947 like your normal boomer.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah. And the mother and two brothers are secretly watching Santa Claus putting presents under the tree and goodies in their stockings. And later on in their room, the little brother named Philly suspects that Santa was their father, while the other kid, Harry, insists that it was the real Santa Claus. Harry goes downstairs to investigate and learns that Philly was right when he finds his mama and Santa Claus doing a little bit more than kissing.
I don't even.
So what do you think they did next?
So
Well,
I'm still trying to figure out exactly what they were doing. Like, I know it was some sort of sexual-ish act, but
she
She was just standing there for a good
he
3
looked like he
minutes
was
at her leg.
licking her leg. It didn't look like it was anatomically proper.
it was like foreplay, I guess.
Maybe they were just going to dry hop because they're good Christian people.
Oh, you're probably right. It was some really bad foreplay.
So did she have a
And,
Santa fetish? Is that what's up? I mean,
She was the one standing and he was on his knees. It was kind of seems a little opposite,
I want to bring. I'm coming back around to that.
Can we find the actors on Twitter and ask them the question? What?
They're probably
I
dead.
I feel like many of these actors are either dead or in hiding at this
Yeah.
point.
So Harry runs back down. Harry runs back upstairs, traumatized, and goes in the attic and smashes a snow globe. He then cuts his hand on a plate. He then cuts his hand on a piece of broken glass.
Why is that? Why did he do that?
I don't know. That's what people do.
I feel like that's going to be a
they're-
recurring theme.
right.
Yeah.
And maybe the actor got upset because he's part of a movie called Christmas Evil. So you'll notice in the credits that this movie is titled "You Better Watch Out." Why is that?
The distributor or producer said they wanted to sound more Christmassy, so he should change it to Christmas Evil, even though "You Better Watch Out" is a Christmas song. But he still kept that title in the opening credits. Yet in the posters and the cover art, it's Christmas Evil. I don't know why you do that, but it's confusing. Because it was even confusing to find this movie because it's listed as Christmas Evil on Amazon, and then on the other thing, what was it, like Hub or something?
On Tubi
It was,
and
Tubi.
Showtime, it's
Tubi,
"You Better
yeah.
Watch Out."
And it is on Shudder.
Yeah.
I watched it on Shudder, and I'm still waiting on my free subscription, guys. So Shudder, if you're listening, do the thing.
So it is now present day, or in actually the early 1980s, and a full-grown Harry wakes up out of bed wearing Santa pajamas and turns on his record player and starts dancing to A Winter Wonderland. And we find that his whole apartment has been bedecked with all kind of Santa Claus memorabilia and collectibles, and this ranges from posters, figures, paintings, dolls, whatever wooden or cotton, you name it.
So I do want to ask though, is this like, this is all technically like during the holiday season, so it's possible he's just decorated his apartment or whatever for winter, or for the Christmas season. I mean, I don't know.
That's the thing, though.
If
It
I'd
could-
prefer it if it was a year-round thing or not, but
like that all the time. I wouldn't be surprised because they waste no time showing there's something wrong with this guy already.
oh sure.
You know what I never saw and thought maybe was a year-long thing or was just Christmas, because this is a lot of work. But for those near or in the Richmond, Virginia area, we have the Tacky Light Tour. And one of the houses in the West End, the main house for Tacky Light Tour, do they have that up all year? Because it's a lot of stuff.
I doubt it.
You know what I'm talking about, Kevin?
I don't. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the specific. I'm familiar with the tour, but I'm not familiar with the specific house you refer to. I remember when I was growing up, there was a house that every year decorated. It was one of the most like heavily decorated houses, and typically those houses are not decorated year round. So I think that like maybe. I guess they would take like a full week off in November to get the house ready or something.
So it's the house that it's like two houses in a row, and it has the weird doll.
I mean, I
display.
would guess that it is not decorated year round.
Okay.
But I don't know. That's just my
Shout out to everyone from Richmond.
RVA.
RVA's where it's at.
Shout out from our buddy in Hickory. That's not listening to the podcast.
So we cut to him in front of a mirror shaving, and he's amused by the shaving cream looking like a Santa beard. And he then accidentally cuts himself, and this causes him to have a brief flashback of when he cut himself as a kid.
He also, I think after that, he like laughs with a Santa belly in the mirror. He's just like looking in the mirror.
That's just a very normal thing to do when you have a Santa thing of
Yeah, it's
Shame
part of
cream.
his daily routine.
He's just
Just
getting
that.
in the holiday spirit, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets super creepy, super fast. He's outside on top of a building watching children through binoculars to see whether they're being naughty or nice.
That is really weird. This bothered me.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely the most creepiest thing that we've seen out of all the movies. Creepier than Candyman. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
Angela
I don't-
being a dude.
On a whole different level. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. The top two so far is the little scene where they're holding everybody hostage in the Devil's Rejects and this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know. For some reason, this scene didn't bother me that much, and I don't know whether that's alarming or not. But
I mean, like I get he obviously doesn't have any negative intentions himself, but just that whole act of
yeah,
no one else is gonna understand that.
So he's making the list.
Yeah, so he's talking about how, come on, where are my little darlings?
Yeah, he says that when he's looking for them, and then he knows all their names, and so that means he's been stalking and following these kids, talking to these kids, and one kid even takes out the trash. He's watching him with his binoculars, and he says, "Good boy, Scotty," as he's like putting the trash.
And then does he
Go on
say,
his limit.
garbage day?
no,
That's common.
getting ahead of ourselves.
So Harry is clearly disturbed, and then he gets very upset when he sees a boy named Moss Garcia looking at a Penthouse magazine, and he frantically runs back to his apartment.
I hate that kid. He's a reoccurring
Man, that kid can totally fuck off.
ugh, he is a brat.
Like, I'll circle back around to that later.
Okay. Yeah, so he freaked out. He sees this kid looking at a Playboy or Penthouse magazine. He just he takes the binoculars off, then he just runs down the stairs back to his apartment. Like even the music is like.
And I do want to note that I hate that I even identify with Harry a little bit, hating this kid. But
Yeah,
it's so natural.
I know he hates it. Yeah,
Wasn't he
definitely.
like cutting out the woman out of the magazine?
Yeah, look, I think so.
Was he gonna hang it on his wall?
Yeah, I don't know. He
What was he gonna do with it?
can't.
Well, I mean, this is honestly one of his least offensive acts as far as Moss is concerned. Like, okay, it's probably not becoming of a kid his age or whatever, but like in the grand scheme of things, Moss Garcia it shows his ass a lot more in the future here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in this quite a bit.
So he find that he has his naughty and nice books, and he has pages designated to the children he watches and marks down what he observes about them. And then in the naughty book, Moss Garcia's page says that he throws rocks at dogs, and he jaywalks, picks his nose, and then Harry writes, has impure thoughts.
He
Yeah,
also mentioned something about his hygiene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
I
that
don't
one
know
is
what
the
to
one
say.
that kind of bothered me the most.
Bad.
Like, how did he smell him?
I know. That's the thing.
Come here, Harry. I mean, Moss.
He writes impure thoughts as a reaction to seeing him with the Playboy or the Penthouse.
So we've learned that he watches kids to see if they're naughty and nice, and has lists of the kids, and I'm sure that we'll learn whether he checks it twice. But it does appear that he's trying to be like Santa Claus, and he takes it very seriously.
Yeah.
He's
He's very, very thorough about all this.
Yeah. He knows when you're sleeping.
He does.
we cut to a toy factory called a Jolly Dream with a conveyor belt lined up with a bunch of clunky and lame looking toys, and Harry is a supervisor. So he lets people walk over him because that's his kink, and we're gonna kink shame him.
He's like trying to give a pep talk to all of them about how they should make toys with care and be proud, and they just don't give a shit.
Completely no-sell him.
Yeah.
So he clearly has no respect from the guys, and one of them even takes a sandwich from his hand and then pressures him into working for his late shift at the factory line.
Yeah, he just grabs his sandwich from his hand and eats it. I never noticed that until I watched it, like,
That kind
just
of made
recently.
me mad.
All those years ago, I watched this, yeah.
That bothered me.
Yeah.
So after Harry is done working, he passes by a bar on his way home, and he sees the same guy sitting there drinking, laughing about how he made Harry work the shift. Harry freaks out and runs home. He starts pacing around his apartment while humming Santa Claus is Coming to Town, where he's basically just growling, and then he breaks a toy and frustrated.
I think this might be my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Can someone act this out?
I and then he just stops.
Very good.
He goes on for like 2 minutes, though.
So later that night, he then randomly spies on a couple through their front window as they're about to have sex. It did not indicate whether or not he was putting them on their nice or naughty list.
Yeah, I think, like, I realized later that's actually supposed to be his brother, who we meet later, but like they never.
They didn't
established
explain it. You just thought he was watching somebody have sex.
All right, and it. But also, I just want to say, like, as silly as this movie is, I think the actor himself isn't too bad, and I think he does a good job at portraying a guy who's like approaching his breaking point. And I think it was a good decision to show him as a kid and then just skip ahead to an adult, because like we're seeing the tail end of like a 30+ year downward spiral.
I think his
And-
acting saved the movie.
Oh yeah,
With
absolutely.
anybody else, like, it would have been bad.
Like
Yeah.
Gary Busey.
And I don't know if it was because of him and the beard, but did anybody else? And I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit with him actually dressing up as Santa, but when he actually has the beard on, for whatever reason, he reminded me of Mark Hamill, like Last Jedi Mark Hamill.
I wasn't seeing it, but now I kind of do.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and like by now, like you can just assume this guy's teen years and his young adulthood was just like probably completely fucked, just based on all this.
Yes. Yeah. Harry is still a virgin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no doubt in my mind.
So the next morning, Harry's watching the Thanksgiving Day parade, and we're introduced to his resentful younger brother, Phil, as an adult and Phil's wife. Harry cancels going to Thanksgiving with his brother's family and starts to put together a vintage Santa suit and paints a Santa sleigh on the side of his van. He dutifully mutters the names of the naughty and nice children from his list. And I actually thought at one point that he was going to write like a naughty list on the side of his truck. So it's like etched in stone.
Yeah, he's going above and beyond Santa, because he's not just checking the list twice, he's remembering it. He's memorizing it.
You just made the list.
So the next day he hears that the dreaded Moss Garcia telling everyone that he wants a lifetime subscription to the Penthouse magazine, which further aggravates Harry. He goes to Moss's home at night and puts a bunch of mud all over his face in the most non-racist way possible.
Yeah, what the fuck was that all about?
I researched this. They give this no context whatsoever. What he's doing is he's supposed to be a guy named Black Pete.
Well, I got the black first right.
Well,
Yeah. Who is not at all mentioned at Christmas here, but I guess he's still popular.
Is this like a thing somewhere?
It's in the lore or mythology or whatever. But
Okay.
Santa's assistant, he goes down the chimneys to see if children are naughty or nice. And if they're naughty, he comes back up the chimney and he's covered in soot. And he marks the house. So Santa knows not to go there. Or he knows to give them coal or something. Now that's creepy.
That's fucking deep mythology stuff right there. Like,
Yeah.
I would have never known that.
That's some Moses
I
shit.
appreciate
Right,
your
and
research, Charles.
Yeah, and they should have established that somewhat in the movie. Otherwise,
Yeah.
what the fuck is
Like,
he
that's
doing?
not fucking common knowledge.
Black Pete put his lips and hands up to the side of the house like Harry did.
Hashtag Black Pete, y'all.
not touching that one.
So Moss and his mom come outside as mom whines. He doesn't want to go anywhere. And he sees Harry behind the bush to try to grab him, but the mom doesn't believe that anyone is there. She then slaps Moss in the face and they drive away.
This is the part of the film that I wish that he had actually killed a kid.
The mom is actually Jill from Home Improvement.
No.
Oh,
Really?
shit, it is. Now that oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is. That's the
No
only other
way.
thing I've seen her in. Yeah,
He
totally.
is.
Go to a Christmas party at his work that Harry is less than thrilled to attend, and he's further made fun of for working the guy's shift from earlier. Because if you want to bully somebody, that's what you should bully somebody about. This is definitely an anti-capitalist movie.
I know. Why would that go in? How long ago was that? I mean,
Yeah. Also, are they part of a union at this place?
they said something briefly earlier. Like they said, "Oh, Harry doesn't go to union meetings or something."
So this is anti-union propaganda.
I don't know. I mean, it's Reagan era. I don't know.
Well, no. Reagan was in off. He 81. Never mind. Sorry to be that guy.
So he then
Yeah,
meets
it was pretty vague. There. Go ahead.
He then meets a new young market executive who helped produce a commercial with some kind of publicity scheme to increase production and ask for money from employees in order to give toy donations to the hospital. They obviously don't actually care about the children. And the way that Harry sees it basically is we're getting paid by you and then you want money back. This enrages Harry, and he chastises both the executive and Harry's main boss. He steals toys from the factory and goes to fill up other bags with dirt, like Black Pete.
Yeah.
Back at his home, he puts on a Santa beard and then starts giggling into the mirror, which turns into this growling noise. Then says... He says, what? He says what?
It's me.
Which is that a realization that he was supposed to be Santa Claus?
Yeah, he was always supposed to be Santa Claus. Does anyone want to reenact how he was giggling and shrieking into the mirror?
I
Just
can't.
looking at himself. He's like, or something.
So he is fully
At this point,
formed.
he's completely nuts. At this point.
He is digivolved into Santa Claus in the flesh,
Bastard.
and inside of what might be Phil's house, he uses this huge butcher knife that he uses to cut ribbons off some presents, and he finds that one of the children's presents are one of those clunky Jolly Dream factory toys, not the ones that you get in China, which are probably better than Jolly Dream. And it makes him laugh with content. Then he leaves a bag of dirt on Moss Garcia's front door. He makes his way to the children's hospital, and that was mentioned in the commercial, and he has a mild confrontation with a security guard. He puts his hand on the gun as Harry raises his voice at him, and then he is won over by a gift from Santa Claus. As the security guard retreats back in the hospital, Harry starts practicing his Santa personality and saying, "Ho, ho, ho, Merry Christmas." Can somebody reenact that for me?
He's like, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And then it starts to flurry. It starts to snow. And then at that moment, he gets it right. And he starts going, Merry Christmas. And I thought this was one of the most magical moments in the history of cinema.
Yeah,
In all of cinema.
I would agree. You know what it's up there with? The first scene in Team America.
Man.
You walked into that. So,
Right.
he eventually finds the right pitch.
And the right pitch.
And it...
It's,
yeah.
I think that they again, this was like part of his transition because he was actually doing the Santa persona pretty well.
You actually forgot it was like a horror movie at this moment for
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Right.
So as he's saying, "Ho, ho, ho," the rest of the staff comes outside to see him, and he then reveals his van sleigh is full of presents from the factory, and the staff at first are skeptical and then delighted by his presents, unload the van, and then take the presents inside, and then they wave goodbye to him.
That lady like kisses him like all weird too. On the
Yeah.
cheek.
Yeah, so far it seems like he's broken into this Santa business pretty well. I mean, he's not doing too bad yet, at least. I think honestly, this movie probably could have been better as just a psychological thriller instead of some kind of like shoehorn slasher. Well, we'll get to that. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I never. His priorities seem to take a left turn because after his charitable deed, he lands his van sleigh in front of the Catholic Church being attended by the young market executive from earlier, and he's there to confront him. It's not explained how Harry knew the guy was there, since he just met him at the party, but
Christmas miracle.
he is Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So the service ends, and as the congregators walk out, Harry becomes accosted by a few rude and cocky churchgoers, who obviously are very normal people, and they start making fun of him. So suddenly, out of nowhere, RKO out of nowhere.
On Christmas Eve, they just want to make fun of a guy in a Santa suit.
They're going to hell.
Yeah.
Because if anybody's going to be real, it's not John Paul II. It's going to be Santa Claus. Sorry, I have to get in my Catholic punches. So out of nowhere, Harry jabs one of their eyes out with a spear on a wooden toy soldier, just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And
Metal, I guess.
he hacks up at least 3 people right in front of the big crowd, just standing in front of church.
And everybody's just watching.
You know,
Nobody's helping.
if it was 2019, people would be recording.
They're just all shrieking like it's crazy.
So
Nobody's like, "Oh, I should save them."
he flances, not prances, but flances. He then flees the scene, and as he flees, he says,
on Dancer, on Prancer, on Donner, on Vixen, just as he would if he was in a real sleigh.
You know what pisses me off? There was like
As he
40 of
drives.
those people.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. They could have stopped him. He somehow manages to just kill 3 people in less than 12 seconds.
So immediately after killing the 3 people in cold blood, he then goes to dance at a random Christmas party.
I just
Well,
I
they
wanted-
forced him into the building too, though.
Yeah. He seemed kind of like fascinated, like he wanted to go in, but then they just kind of, these people saw him and they pulled him in. Hey,
How did-
Santa.
How
So
did
is this
he? How did he
Go ahead.
not see these people as sinful, and why did he not kill them right then and there?
I don't know. Does he have like? Is he following like a Christian theme? But it doesn't really
No, it doesn't make sense.
say that.
No, I think he's
Yeah.
just nuts.
But
It's
isn't
just-
isn't Santa and God in like tandem?
Yeah,
Yeah, because Saint Nick is.
yeah, they're like,
Yeah,
they're like
he's.
Harlem Heat or something.
But this is something I wanted to say. Like, there is just like no motivation for this guy. I don't think to just suddenly become a killer. Like he finally cracked to just become a Santa and act as if he's Santa. But where do you get the motivation to suddenly start killing people? For really, like with no hesitation. I didn't see many red flags for that
Yeah, I don't
throughout the movie.
know.
So was that his Joker walking down the steps moment when they're dancing at the party?
Oh yeah, yeah. Or maybe it was earlier in the hospital.
Yeah, possibly.
Allow me to be the guy that hasn't seen the Joker movie.
Oh,
So yeah,
Well,
yes.
well,
Everybody,
yeah.
send your awful DMs to me on Twitter at Kevin Burr RVA.
I feel like the killings are completely like secondary in this movie.
Like I don't know. I feel like I'd be more afraid of like the Santa from Futurama than this guy. I mean,
That's the thing. It's so out of place for him to just do that.
So
Stab this guy right in the eye.
I mean, this is just his mental break. It doesn't seem like he's like legitimately in search of people who are on the naughty list or anything like that, which is kind of what I thought the movie was gonna be.
Yeah, he seems to just mess with people he knows. Like he goes to his friend's house and then Moss's house.
So after some dancing, he announces that he must go and gives a very dark speech to these kids, saying that if they are bad, he will bring them something terrible, like the Black Plague.
And then he laughs.
So he goes to the man's house who made him work a shift, and then we spend about 5 minutes in a pointless scene of Harry trying to climb down the chimney. He fails, so he just breaks into the house.
That was just sad.
You never see how he gets into these houses. He just does. He's just there.
He's a ninja. He teleports.
Yeah.
So after putting presents down the guy's tree, he goes into his bedroom and then attempts to smother him with Santa's bag of toys and fails. So Harry just decides he's gonna slash his throat with a tree star ornament. So he walks out of the house, and these kids see Santa and get excited that the mother and wife screams, and Harry runs out.
Those
Funny.
are going to be more traumatized than Harry ever was when he saw Santa going down on his mom.
Yeah.
He killed these kids' dad and then just runs.
Yeah,
And then he left presents for him.
they're never gonna have Christmas again. Christmas Day, Harry's brother sees a report of a killer Santa on the news. Harry goes back to the factory, destroys all the toys.
And he's just laughing as they fall off the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just break.
So Harry calls his brother and starts talking crazy and rambling about how he's playing his tune, and if you have to shave to see yourself.
I think he says like if you shave, each time you shave, you see yourself closer to death.
Yeah,
Has anybody ever heard that before? That was the first time I heard that ever.
yeah. It's a
Yeah, no, I've
Harryism. It's Christmas night, and
Yeah, he.
Harry is walking through the streets and is approached by a group of children excited to see him. The parents, obviously Catholic, show up concerned and confrontational. The kids
This is a
stand,
scene that bothers me as well.
yeah. The kids stand by Santa, taking his side, and we got a Atomicos match going.
Like they're over on Santa's side, like their parents are like on the other side.
Well, the
It's
other
fucking
thing is
weird.
that, so the thing the thing I'm getting from this is that the parents have all seen the news, and the kids haven't. So,
The kids turned heel.
well, no,
this
the
is-
kids just didn't know. They thought it was Santa, and the parents are
Yeah,
just
they
like, "Get the
weren't
fuck
telling
away
you.
from this guy, dude."
Shit happens, man.
Yeah.
So, one of the parents pulls a switchblade on Santa and drops it as he trips, and then the little girl picks it up and gives it to Santa while smiling
That's
and says,
the weird part. This is very weird.
Yeah. Yeah,
says "Here you go, Santa."
It's supposed to represent like the innocence of a child, yet she's handing a knife to him. Like,
A knife! No!
yeah. Doesn't think that's strange. That doesn't confuse her or anything.
So as he runs away, one of the ladies cuts him on the cheek with her necklace, and a classic mob forms, complete with torches. And they weren't Charlottesville
Yeah, they-
tiki torches.
Yeah, no, they're going like full Charlottesville on him.
Yeah.
It's that
Oh,
was
man.
cheap. That was super.
So Harry seeks refuge at Philly Cheesesteak's house, and confirming his fears that
Brother's house.
Harry was the killer all along.
It was me, Harry. I mean, it was me, Philly. It was me all along, Philly.
Oh, son of a bitch! So they fight, and his brother chokes Harry, and he passes out. He then drags Harry's body back into the sleigh van.
It's he just chokes him. He passes out and instead of like
And the
calling the
family's,
cops.
and the family's just staring at him.
Like, hey, I have the killer Santa here. He's my brother. He's disabled. He puts him in his car. Why would he do that?
Oh. Actually, another weird thing, like, is his kids are watching down the steps like he was watching when he saw Santa at the beginning.
Sequel.
Oh yeah. I never. Yeah, that's a good observation.
Yeah, I put that. When I was watching it. That's what
That's
I.
how they
saw.
found out Santa
Yeah.
wasn't real.
So now they're gonna. Yeah.
Or well, what about earlier with those kids whose dad's throat got slit? They're probably gonna be.
Oh man, there's gonna be like a whole like stable of them.
Bullet Club.
Bullet Club. Four. Bow, bow, bow.
So why? Yeah, why does he take him to the van? Like what?
Don't know. Like, is he trying to hide him?
Like I thought he was dead at first, and he was trying to hide the body, and then he just takes him to
Oh
the van.
my goodness!
I feel like he thought he was dead after he choked him.
My guess is maybe he was trying to.
Want him in the house or.
I guess I don't really know.
Yeah. So what happened after that, Nick? He puts him in the van.
And like every wrestling match
Fuck.
ever, when you have a reversal happen, and the brother doesn't notice that Harry wakes up and punches him in the face and drives off in a sleigh van. The lynch mob appears and he swerves out of the way and
It's like
drives.
some Grand Theft Auto shit.
Yeah, and he drives off the edge of the road, but his sleigh van literally starts floating through the air. And his brother watches in disbelief, and the van flies into the sky towards the moon as he recites the last few lines of A Visit from St. Mick that goes a little like...
Merry Christmas to all, and all a good night.
Okay, so Was I the only one that actually thought this happened? I actually thought this happened.
Yeah. I mean, this rivals sleepaway camps in it.
No. No. I mean, I get what you're saying there, but like,
I'm fucking around.
the fuck was going on here?
So
Yeah,
basically,
what you guys?
he
So,
thinks it's
okay.
Santa with his reindeers.
What was your reaction seeing this before we theorize what actually happened?
Well, so yeah. I do want to ask also, Charles. You're the only one who of the four of us who had actually seen this one before.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did I think was gonna happen? Like
First, what was your reaction? Everyone.
to that?
Yes.
That made sense. To
Wait,
me.
hang on. First, okay, what was your reaction? What did you think was going to happen? And then let's theorize what probably actually happened.
So, like, with that ending, I just want to say this real quick before I forget. Is that it? Basically, all the Christmas movies, like in the 70s and 80s, always ended like with Santa Claus, like flying with his reindeer
Oh, yeah?
through the moon, towards the moon, and that's what they were trying to do with him in his van.
And
Oh,
to
okay.
me that's cool. I actually appreciate that. To me, I felt like the movie just ended really suddenly, and it was a real what the fuck moment for me.
It really did end really quick, though. Other than, I mean, like,
Yeah, it was unexpected.
Like,
I didn't know where they were going with it exactly, but then all of a sudden it was over, and I guess he's the new Santa, or
cast it
something.
over.
I don't.
How did
I
you
don't know, man.
want to like throw your controller at the screen? Did anybody feel that way seeing this?
That's it.
I don't.
What
So the weird thing is, like, I in retrospect, I went back. Actually, so sorry. Before I watched the movie, I probably shouldn't have done this, but I looked at like Rotten Tomatoes, and I know for 1980 movies are skewed regardless, but it had a pretty good rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and I disagree violently with the rating.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think
it's
like an
just-
84% fresh rating, and that's
Yeah,
not
that was
fair.
insane. Yeah.
I didn't think it was a bad movie, and I didn't think it was a good movie.
I didn't think. I
It was
completely
The
agree.
movie.
Yeah, I don't feel strongly about it one way or the other. As far like the ending was just like I said, it was sudden and kind of dumb. But like, I guess to your point, if they're making a quote unquote Hollywood holiday film, then sure, whatever. Santa goes off in his sleigh, and that's the end of the movie. But
His van literally starts flying up into the sky. Like this actually happens.
Well, his brother's just laying there watching.
Yeah.
We also should say he almost fell into the water and died.
All right, yeah. Because he's falling down the hill.
He's trying to race the van, and somehow he's like keeping up.
Yeah, what was your reaction, Nick, to this?
I thought it was a shoot.
No,
Cop out or something?
a shoot on who?
I
The
thought.
audience?
I thought. Yeah, I thought he was actually flying
straight
away.
fucking shoot.
No, I think that that's just what he was imagining. And he just drove off and probably died. I know when it shows him like break through the barrier, right? And then you see his brother falling down the hill. And when you see him like tumbling down, you can hear a bunch of like breaking and wrecking noises.
So you
But
think
then it shows
that's-
the brother.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Shows the brother look up, and I'm thinking like either he's watching the car falling down, or that's just something Harry's imagining, and the whole thing is just in his head as he's dying. That's what I think.
I
That
think
makes
that's a
lot-
real optimistic outlook on the way this movie ended.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think he actually flew up.
I mean,
The magic.
I don't know. The problem is, I feel like this film tried to be a lot more like metaphorical than literal, and I don't know if that helped it.
Yeah. I honestly think they could have done it without him even killing anybody.
Yeah.
Just finding him do other things to fill up.
So I guess, yeah, that's where I kind of come into this movie is like, would I have liked it better if it was just literally a similar movie where he just was literally just fucking killing everybody he encountered, or like again had a naughty list with him at all times, and if like they made the naughty list, well, I'm gonna slash you. Like that to me is like what I expected this movie to be, just kind of going in completely raw. I had no idea that this movie honestly really even existed prior to being told that we needed to watch it for the podcast. So
What was the rating on it? Like, was it PG, PG-13, R?
Triple X.
it's weird because I feel like it could have been a PG-13. Well, actually, no, because when this movie came out, there was no PG-13, so it would have either had to have been PG or R. So yeah,
Probably PG.
I mean it was
actually could have
close.
been.
It could have been. There was not that. I mean, other than the eye scene, there
And
really
the
wasn't
tits.
that
Yeah,
much legitimate like.
There's a pair
Gore
of
or
tits in the
anything.
movie.
Throat slash was pretty kind of violent.
Well, kind of, I guess, but I mean,
Watching
I
the
think
kids,
the eye scene was definitely the most gory, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. When he kills those 3 people in front of the church, that's 75% of the body count right there. And then he just kills the one other guy with the tree star, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder to a point if I was disappointed with this movie because I hadn't seen it before and I was expecting more gore or more violence, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what that says about me, but
It was more a mental health issue movie.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was definitely like a man's descent into madness.
which I think they did surprisingly well,
It was really good with
despite
that.
all the flaws of this movie.
Yeah.
It had a slow build to it that was kind of perfect.
Uh,
Well, I don't know perfect, but it good.
good. Yeah.
Like, Gert, I would say, was like a perfect.
Yeah, it's funny that I did want to make a note. The first half of the movie, I wasn't totally sure exactly where they were going to go with this, because again, I didn't know he was going to end up eventually donning the Santa Claus outfit and everything and taking on the persona. Like there was a point where I literally was thinking this movie was like a fuck Mary kill version of the Santa, like with Santa Claus here, because like I didn't know where he stood. Because he seemed to like be wavering on whether he hated Santa, he hated Christmas, or if he loved it, or
There was a point where I thought, is there actually going to be murders in this movie or not?
yeah.
Like, I thought he was like going to turn face at the end and like be like a Santa. But then
I mean,
turned-
he was definitely a bit of a tweener, and yeah, again, fuck that Mars Garcia. That kid can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope Moss Garcia still gets bullied to this day.
That's the thing too. He went to that Catholic church to find that executive guy. He was going to kill that guy. It's just so happened that these other guys started to bully him, so he just killed them instead and left. But he was
Yeah.
specifically going there to confront that guy that made that commercial.
Yeah, and that
So-
guy was a fuck. So I mean,
Yeah.
not. God, this podcast is making me sympathize a little too much with killers.
But I think I saw no like motivation for him to actually become a killer. What would motivate him to do that? Other than I could see him becoming crazy enough to think he is Santa. He's literally Santa Claus.
I mean, I
He's
think
pretty
he
left
was
field.
already unstable enough from the get-go. Like, I don't know if he necessarily needed that big of a nudge to go into the serial killer range.
So yeah, that was definitely an interesting movie. I had a
What's
lot of
everybody's
fun
score?
watching it. I would give it a.
I'm going 5 out of 10. I don't think it was good, and I don't think it was bad.
I'm torn. Like, yeah, 5 sounds both right and a little high at the same time. Like, I'll give it 4.5.
I'll give it a 4.99.
-5.
I'll go with 5.5.
So, yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Next episode is Silent Night, Deadly Night
Nope.
2.
Wait, I thought we had
Black Christmas.
Christmas Evil 2.
Wait, that's a thing?
Black Christmas.
It's a retroactive sequel. Yeah.
So that's actually next?
Yes.
so now I'm confused. Are we
Was
doing
it
Black
double
Christmas or
episodes?
not?
Black
Oh, yeah.
Christmas 2.
Okay, cool. I've been meaning to see this movie for probably a couple of decades.
Oh, yeah,
So
this
I'm
is
excited
good.
about it.
Yeah.
Charles, have you seen this one before?
Yep.
Of course you have.
It's a good one. It's a really good slasher film.
Yeah,
It's one that's actually scary.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
again, it's one I'm really looking forward to because I've been told it is maybe the best Christmas themed horror movie of all time. So
I would say so. Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you again, guys, for listening. And Merry Christmas to all, and all good night.